great. So that's primarily my main focus.
I didn't know that young man until he introduced himself, but his grandma and I were tight.
Have you had interaction with deaf students?
It is a small world.
Because that's my.
But you tell your daddy,
Yeah.
where y'all going to eat now? Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I was allowed to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, unofficially I have one, but I
Tell
didn't
him
know
I
I
asked
had
about it.
it. Okay. So I couldn't find it. So
You can't own it.
no, I have it. No, I have it.
Okay.
I have it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to mention that I have it until I didn't know if I was supposed to.
But I
How's,
have
how's,
a good friend. She also
I tried to get my
mom?
license too. I won't.
her mother is deaf, and so she is a sign language interpreter. She does a ton for like, you know, she'll like go to events and everything like that. So I've done a little bit, but I don't know the needs as much, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah. And my mom has worked with adult disabilities my whole life.
Oh, nice.
So I used to go to like the shelter workshops and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
and
that's
visit the
great.
adults there. I just
I love that.
I can absolutely do it.
I mean, yeah, when I was born, it was very much
You
like,
met me the other day. I mean, take a while,
oh,
guys.
like, it just felt very
Last name
like
McManus.
that.
You know, look at you.
That's a good one.
I like that. Almost, that was good.
No, I'm not.
No, you told me yesterday, and I told myself I was
good.
never going to fall for
That was
that.
pretty good.
Malcolm Johnson. Nice to meet you.
Yo, Malcolm, boy.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it just seemed to be like, this is not. No, everybody.
Okay, well, good. Then I'm not the only one that feels a little out of place this way. Every time I've said, I've said
already know
this
that.
way.
Oh, that's
We've always been in a circle and.
Right, well, when this morning we were here, it was like this. It was like this. So it's like, okay.
What did he do? So it's just a little bit of the,
I don't.
what happened here?
Pretty much.
We got the squeaky table again. We had the squeaky table at the other meeting.
No, it's just you.
It's not me.
Wait a
just gave
minute.
it to
I always
you.
thought it was me, and then I was like,
Is it this one?
it's not me.
It might be that one.
Hello, how are you?
Is it that one?
I'm doing good.
It's that one. It's that one. That's the
Happy New
table.
Year to you.
No sign.
I'm about to say you want
What's
to take
happening in the
something
new year?
No, I was
Anything
saying
good?
ball.
Anything good happening in the new year?
I'm gonna mark it. If I forget which one it is, I'll mark
Yes,
it.
there is.
Yeah, it's that one right there.
Oh,
That table
so
right
much
there.
time.
Squeaky table.
I don't know how to
It is. I have a birthday in a couple of days, so that's, yeah, it's
Yeah, you and me. both. I thought I was
a big deal.
Excuse me. That's not my hand sanitizer.
And I'm not ready to be this old.
You're clean. You're
I'll shake it, Dave.
This goes into the year-old category.
my kids call me old, and
Yeah, but
Okay.
I
So I think what
realized
this
that
one
I
here
was
is
past the point of no return, and so my college students told me that their mother was my age, and I was that's right.
yeah, that's
Not with my age.
I'm active, you know. Grandpa, I'm a bit-
big number.
That's a big number.
Say what?
well, I mean, it's what I wear. It's what I wear. It looks like
It looks like periodic table.
it is periodic.
You know,
So I use it in my science Olympiad.
you know you're gonna be judged by who you sit next
Very
to.
low-key this year. So no parties, no trips,
He was talking
no.
trash about you, but I defended you. Paula.
You know,
Yeah, when I
I'm
started
kind of
hiring
midlife crisis
my kids,
mode.
yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, we bought a Jeep because I'm getting old and I need a Jeep.
Married and having
504, boss.
And
Yeah, that is me. I
career's
remember
taking
I
a
had to
whole
be really
new, good things, but they're stressful.
my feet dangle on the floor.
You know, even good
Not
things are
dangling. I don't like everything on the feet.
And so, you know, we're looking at launching this church in the next few weeks. And that's a
Here's for my school.
lot of stress.
You know, I think I had,
But all shall be well.
I got close to
All shall be well.
at least.
How are you?
Put my students in some position in every single school.
Awesome.
Hey, Miss Harper, how are you?
40 years.
Great.
Mind if I hand one to you? There we go.
You get ice cream with this? Oh, we got this, I got copies.
Yeah, we know. Should we wait a couple more?
Sir?
Okay, okay, sure.
No, I want you to bring back. Paula said that you will bring back clean.
Hello, drag your chair. No, I was, so I'm just being extraordinarily recognized.
He did.
So Lisa,
Look at his face. Look at his face.
doing all the easy.
How was your holiday?
It was good, how about yours?
Good. Oh, wait. We celebrate. That's great.
I just got it. We got a new phone. They kind of made it off like, now I got to learn how to use it, how to cut it all out.
Of course.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Thank you very much. How was your holiday? It was good. We went up to Ohio. Oh, wow. Christmas
Chase.
with my parents and my brother's family. And so that was nice. And then we
Are we on?
went to California to go to
Okay.
the zoo. San Diego? San Diego. Good job. So nice. Yes. It was so
Hey, everyone, we're getting ready to begin.
nice to see you.
First of all, do you want to go ahead and start? Okay. Well, I'm just going to do the welcome. I won't keep y'all too long on that because we've got a lot to get to and discuss. I just want to thank you all for being here and thank you for continuing to do this most important work. There's some familiar faces here. We got our student voice group and some of our parent work group. And we have a brand new board member here with us, Ms. Melissa Mason. So welcome. And I want to say, you know, I know sometimes this work can be very challenging, but we do it because we have compassion in our hearts and we want to make sure that our students are taken care of and that we pay attention to things that maybe we wouldn't normally pay attention to in regards to our students, their voices, their concerns, you know, our exceptional children, deaf of hard of hearing children. You know, I have an Asperger's child, so I think it's important the work that we do, and it's important we continue that work, and I hope that we have a really good year as far as that's concerned. I'm excited with the new parent work group and the new members as they come on and we get busy. I'm happy to see our students here too. So welcome, and Malcolm, you want to take it away?
All right, so good evening. First and foremost, thank you guys. I think this is the largest group of people, you know, and that really says a lot about the work we do because usually it's about 6 or 7 of us. So I do thank you for all those who are able to make it, and to those who are streaming, thank you all for joining us. I do want to get started. But first, I want to get in the habit of always sharing our definitions of equity, diversity, and inclusion. So if I can have just one of my student voices, members just, each of you guys, can you guys take a definition and just read it out loud for us?
Sure. Equity, the pursuit of creating an educational culture that proactively centers all students and staff in instructional content, professional development, communications, and policy/procedures.
And the microphone just for the people that can hear you.
New Hanover County Schools seeks to provide each student with learning environments that promote high-quality education for all students.
Diversity. The representation of all varied identities and differences, such as race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, origin, visible/invisible disabilities, learning styles, linguistics, etc., collectively and as individuals.
Inclusion. Establishing a culture of belonging by actively inviting the contribution and participation of each educational stakeholder. Examples: students, families, educators/staff, administrative leadership. Every student and staff member should be equally valued, treated with respect, and provided with the fair learning and development opportunities.
Thank you. All right, and what was really big about these definitions, as I've been doing the work and visiting schools and just really being able to interact with just all facets of New Hanover County schools and the greater public, is really honing in on that visible and invisible disabilities, linguistics, and learning styles. I reckon those are the 3 things that impact all of us across our ethnicity, our socioeconomic status. Those things really deeply impact us. So the fact that recognizing our goal for this work is to really be centered in that, and when we center in that, we can see the positive impact across the board as it relates to student outcomes and achievements. So again, thank you, Student Voices, for reading that for me. So, as Ms. Walker just mentioned, right now, this is our standing EDI Board Committee chairs. Right now, we have Stephanie Walker, Hugh McManus, and Melissa Mason. I do want to give each of them a few moments because some of you guys have never interacted with them before, just to share briefly, of their interest in the work of equity, diversity, inclusion. And I will start to my right with our gentlewomen, and I'll leave the gentleman for last.
Okay, no, I'm kidding. Hi, y'all. I'm Stephanie Walker. I am going into my third year to being on the school board. I've been EDI chair for 2 years. We don't know if that's going to continue because we're doing committee assignments now. But my passion for equity work, it runs pretty deep. I grew up here in New Hanover County. My kids went through school here in New Hanover. And I like to look at data. Data really drives me, and then a lot of the data inspired me to want to run for school board and try and make a positive change for students, especially in the low socioeconomic area, because I feel like we don't talk enough about the effects of poverty and what it does to our children. I am passionate about it in regard to, helping children. That's really my main goal. It should be everyone's goal that come here that understands that that's what we're all here for, and that's what we serve the public for, and I take it very seriously, and I hope that we continue this in the future. I know we've got a lot of work to do. We got it, like I said, new parent group, so I'm excited that we got more energy in. Last couple of years because of COVID has been really hard on us all. So that's my introduction, and I will pass it to Ms. Mason.
Hi, I actually have a lot of experience with special needs kids. So they're really my big heart. I taught deaf kids for 13 years, and my mother has always worked with adults with disabilities, and so that population is one that's really close to my heart. And coming here and finding that there's a deaf magnet program that's pretty small, but it's there, is very encouraging, but I really want to emphasize and grow it a little more because I think that there are more deaf kids floating about this district than people know. So.
I'm Hugh McManus. I have a little over 4 decades in the educational arena, most of it as a high school principal. As I was talking to Mr. Pollock, Hoggard, where he is now, I was at Topsail High School, taught at Rolling Grice, Chestnut Street School, which is now Snipes. Retired from the state with 33 years. I went to Cape Fear Academy, and I was there for almost 10 years, so I've enjoyed both sides of the field. Most important thing is, as an administrator, you listen and you're accessible. To run for the board, you have to be willing to give the students, who are the very reason that we serve on the board, an opportunity. And I feel like we were a part of why they're sitting here now, and also the student committee's access to the board, is that we listen. We may not always agree. As a principal, certainly not all the time they agree with me, but listen. And often you have answers that we don't, and can provide information that helps us make better decisions. But equity, inclusion, diversity, those are the 3 things that we represent, and that involves all students. So that pretty well speaks for itself. So we appreciate you being here and what you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll also be remiss to give the rest of my EDI Board Committee members just an opportunity just to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Karen Clay Beatty. I'm a retired school social worker from New Hanover County Schools /educator. And I've been working with EDI for quite a while, back before it started, before the pandemic. And so we've been at this for a few years. And I think it's a good thing to have, because we do want to have equity, diversity, and inclusion in our school system, which also aligns with our city and our county. And it helps us to have balance within our lives, within the students' lives, within the staff, the parents. So it's very, very important work that we're doing here. And we hope that we can continue to do this work.
I am Lina Espinosa. I work as an assistant principal in an elementary school. Very passionate about this work. I started with the group, and I'm very excited about this new facet, this new stage, this new way that we are going to get in the hands of this new director. So very excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Shawn Lamb. I am a parent and a community member. I've I work for GE and I'm an engineer by trade. And all the data, like Stephanie, I'm also data driven. All the data shows that outcomes in both education and business are better the more inclusive the environment is, the more diverse the contributors are. And I also, so I have a focus on equity and STEM, of course, but I also have a focus, my oldest son has Down syndrome, and so I'm a big advocate for special education and also kids with special needs, but really everything, like, you know, the more we can work together, consider different cultures, experiences, everything, we'll have just a better, closer, tight-knit community. Schools are the hub of our community, and so I deeply believe in this mission. And I have 3 little kids in New Hanover County schools, and I love this environment for my kids.
My name is Gail Tabor, and I've also been on this committee, I think, since the beginning. And I am a local pastor. I am starting a church in Monkey Junction that is an inclusive Methodist community. And I'm very concerned about how we are addressing equity and how we are addressing diversity in our school system with our kids, with our community, how we are addressing how we welcome all, and how we really live into the idea that we are all the same, and how do we make it so that all of us get to get the best out of the school system that we can.
That's great. Hi, my name is Kirsten Kynes, and I've been on the EDI committee since fall of 2020 with the folks who are up here. I'm a research professor in the School of Social Work at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a fellow from the Frank Porter Graham Child Development Institute with a lot of interest in how we design systems to bring about excellence for children who are experiencing learning differences and special needs. A big focus on racial equity in public schools in my own work and in the work I do in communities. And so it's been a pleasure to be working with all of you for almost 3 years now.
Thank you so much for that. And that was super important because it just really allowed us to see how everyone's passion for EDI, it looks different. But the root of it is still the same, and that's why the work is so essential. And having this EDI board committee really helps us center those voices. So with that being said, what you guys are going to hear next is a few meetings ago, we talked about all the equity partners that we have in the school district, and we went on listing all the student groups, all the work groups, all the equity committee, but there was no structure to them. So I'm really pleased to know that this is our first meeting where we can say we have all, if not most of our New Hanover County Schools equity stakeholders in the same room. And I just want to go through each of those groups and just really just give you an overview of what they are. And if any member of that work group, as I'm speaking, once I finish the slide, just could stand up and just share a little bit more insight about the work you guys have done or want to do, or some things that you guys are pushing within your work group or committee, that would be awesome. Just that way we can really help center the efforts for our school district. And the first group we're going to start with is our equity work group. The equity work group convenes quarterly or as needed. The equity work group is open to all New Hanover County School District staff and faculty, and it focuses on identifying inequities and making recommendations to the EDI board committee relating to the climate and culture within our schools. Do we have anyone here from the equity work group? That's a member of the equity work group. We don't. So usually we give them a silent round of applause, but that's okay. And the oh yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't see you over there. I apologize.
My name is Tanya Jordan. I supervise elementary school counseling for our district. I've been on the work group for quite some time. We haven't met yet this year, but I look forward to the work that we will do to make sure that things are best for all students. So we started a brainstorming of some things and some ideas and things that we feel like can be improved upon. So it started to collect some data and just talk about some things. So I look forward to continuing.
Thank you. And next we have our very brand new parent work group. This parent work group, we had over 281 parents apply to be on the work group. Once the parent work group selection committee finished, we had roughly 42 parents that represented 33 different schools. So that was a phenomenal net that we cast. Yes, we're going to keep it open as we have new parents from schools that are not yet represented. But I felt like this is a unique opportunity for our parent work group to centralize all parent voices. Just throughout my time here, I haven't seen where all of our parents' voices have just been brought into one space. And I think this is a unique opportunity to really create a pipeline as it relates to curriculum instruction, transportation, communication, all those voices can center here. And just a great way to leverage the equity and diversity inclusion officer to really push bigger goals for our district as it relates to our New Hanover County strategic plan. And again, the parent work, really quick, do we have any members of the parent work group here? Yes, can we, yes. And what I want you guys to do is just briefly stand up, say your name and what school you're representing.
Yeah, I'm Annie and Dee Daligo. My son is a freshman at Harvard, and I'm here to support what you guys are doing because I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I'll do anything to help promote all three areas within our school systems and even within our local community at large. So thank you so much for allowing us to participate.
Awesome, thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Ginger Davis. I'm a professor, and my daughter is a student at high school and completely did everything she said. But yeah, I'm here to support and to learn. This is my first time. I got lost coming. My first time being here, and so thank you for setting this up. I think it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely, awesome. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shannon Dick. I have 3 children in NHCS schools, and I have twin boys, and one is extremely smart and gifted programs and all that kind of stuff, top of everything, and the other one has autism. So that's an interesting group. They're both 13 years old, and they also have a 14-year-old daughter that is diagnosed with anxiety and some other things, and she has a 504 plan. So we're in the range of gifted, 504 plan, to IEP, and then as trade, I'm a therapist, so obviously I'm very passionate about what my kids are interested in, and things to better help them in the community.
Awesome. Welcome.
And I'm Stephanie Adams. I am a parent of an amazing 5th grader at Forest Hills Elementary. He's a wonderful assistant principal. He will be going to Myrtle Grove next year, and I have a master's in multicultural education, started my career in Philadelphia Public Schools, and equitable education is a passion of mine, and that is why I'm here. And I've served the last 4 years as a Board of Education member, and it's nice to be on this side of the fence for this meeting. So thank you for selecting. I'm very excited.
Thank you. And the big emphasis for this parent work group is to really focus on student belonging, parent engagement, and family support. And just one thing I realized, all of our schools don't necessarily have PTAs. So how do we leverage the PTAs that we have at current schools? How do we leverage the parent engagement that we may see at Forest Hills that may not exist at another school, like Mosley, that does not have a PTA? So it's really important to have us in these rooms so we can make those introductions, And though I'm just one person in one division, this is an opportunity for us just to network laterally and just leverage the resources and support. And even in our personal industries, you all sound like you have a vast amount of experience that can contribute greatly to the work that we're doing here. So again, thank you again. Another round of applause to the parent work group. We haven't done anything yet, but I'm really looking forward to what we can do with you all. So thank you. And student voices. Student Voices will convene bi-monthly. They just got off a nice little break because they worked diligently before I even arrived on their Student Voices policy, and they really advocated working with Mrs. Shala Harper behind us to do something that I've never seen done before by student, which is getting something codified in policy, which is super important because that really speaks to the systemic impact that Student Voices will have and that they want to have in the future. Student Voices is open to all New Hanover County schools. Students, they focus on proactively centralizing the student voice and the student need and being present in the room when decisions are being made. Now, don't let me speak for you guys. Oftentimes, they're in a position where they hear how things are going to affect them after the decision has been made, and they just have to go with it. And I think this is a unique opportunity to bring them to the table, a seat at the table, and they will talk a little bit more about that. You can come grab my they'll talk a little bit more about that. They will talk a little bit more about that in their presentation. So really quick, we're gonna go to the next slide. The next voice you will hear from will be of Student Voices, just to tell you about some of the things that they have going on and some things that they are planning.
Okay, so I guess we'll all introduce ourselves first. Well, before you guys begin, I'm pretty loud. Do I need to? That's for people at home. I just want to say, well, one, my name's Shala Harper. I'm a special education teacher at Trask Middle School. Dr. Casey Smith and I got together, and she's had this vision for a very, very long time. And once we met, we were able to get with some students and bring it all about. And I know she's here in spirit. I know she's here watching, and I know she's listening as well. So hi. But we have, right now, what you see in front of you is one of our C-Tech students, and everybody else is from Hoggard. And I just wanted to point that out because we have students from every high school, every specialty program, every high school. And these are the ones who are here today. So I just wanted to make that be known. We are doing our part of diversity and equity and inclusion, making sure that we have every student here representing for Student Voice today. So I'll let you guys take it away.
So I'm just going to start off with a brief recap of what we've done so far. So this whole project kind of started with Isaiah Singleton, who graduated last year. He just saw that there was a need for some avenues of just student collaboration with adult decision makers. We are the primary stakeholders of our education, so it's definitely important that we're here when decisions are being made and that we have an impact and a voice in that. So in August of 2021, Isaiah went to the board for a long-term youth engagement strategy to figure out how is this going to happen, how can we change this. So he, Sarah Francis Butler, and Tanea Toon, who unfortunately couldn't make it here today, but she is still working with us, they partnered with the Student Voice organization, which is how all of this kind of got started. And there were 19 students from pretty much, I think, every high school in the county. And we worked together. We learned about the school board and about the processes and about policy making. And then the product of that was Policy 4004, which we gave all of you a copy of that if you hadn't seen it before, if you need a refresher, which got passed in October after a lot of work, a lot of meetings, but we are super excited. Now we've had a little break, but we are ready to start just working on the implementation of how this is logistically going to work out. So I'm going to hand it over to Salman. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, that pretty much covers it. We're back from break. We're ready to get the ball rolling. We're here to meet. We're excited that we have some new energy in the building for sure. I mean, it took a lot of us to get this policy where it is now, and we're hoping you guys can help us, keep the ball rolling and get it where it needs to be, really, to accomplish our mission that we have here at EDI. So, I'm going to hand it over to Aparna. She had a few questions that we were just throwing around in our head, and to bring up to you guys in what stage we are right now, which is implementation and what we can do to actually see tangible action where students are actually joining the tangible structures that we have in the policy. So.
Yeah, for sure. So again, as Salman just mentioned, we got our policy passed. So right now we're in the implementation stage. So our next steps are to identify adult allies that can help us with this process. So we just wanted to ask who are like adult allies that we can reach out for logistics support, specifically in like the areas of communications, transportation, and budget, areas like that.
All right. So when she's posing these questions, she's posing it to us. Yeah. And she's also posing it to you all to leverage your expertise in the room. So talk to them, and talk back and forth, just some conversation, just to kind of get those answers. And I'll be your scribe and write it down for you. Got some
hands up.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're here for lateral networking, as Mr. Johnson had said. We recognize that as much as we need you guys, we also have the policy passed. We need everyone now at this point to make it happen. So yeah, do you guys have any Any thoughts on what we're doing so far? Anything to say as we move forward? Any concerns? Ms. Craybill?
I would just say that for your transportation, that Eddie Anderson, who
Yeah.
is our assistant superintendent for transportation, he has a director, right now is Deb Trapton, so that would probably be who your contact would be. And then the other ones, communications, we do have Caleb Brightstone, the communications department right now, he's our outreach manager supervisor. But Josh Smith, who is our chief communications officer, and I can write all this down for you, so you don't have to take notes, and you can get that from Mr. Johnson. But those are your key contacts for the big stuff, how to get people there, and then you're really going to use your whole cabinet, which Johnson can help you with.
Right.
Because there's a lot of coordination on how you get out of class.
Yes.
Who's going to set up places that we meet, and all those kind of things. Those are the three big guys, and Malcolm is in the big guy category.
Yes.
So, yeah. So,
It's actually in the policy, chief equity, I mean, his
Right.
person.
He's our adult accomplice for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you ever met with the superintendent and gone through?
Yes, I'm in the superintendent student advisory committee, but we haven't had a conversation lately, so we definitely will be reaching out to him.
I always believe, the kids would always come to me because they knew that I was going to make a decision anyhow. So I would suggest you go to the superintendent, and our budget year begins, our discussions are we're in the process of almost there. Just start talking. So this is a perfect time for you to go see the superintendent and see what he can also do. But as Ms. Craybill said, Eddie Anderson is the transportation director.
Okay, awesome. Thank
You
you.
got another question?
Hold on.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, some of you know me, I'm Denise Nolan, I'm the president of the New Hampshire County Special Education PTA. And I just want to say that you're the reason that we're here. And everything is about you and for you. I am proud to be an adult ally. We have started a student advisory committee modeled after student voice, and our kids, our students, have passed policy for us that was voted on by the entire general membership and approved. Resolutions supporting you guys, student voice, and some of their own work as well. So I wanted to make the suggestion, I don't know if you know this, but New Hampshire County Schools has a grant writing department. And you might want to get in touch with those folks because they would, I think there could be no greater reason to write a grant to support your work than through, and we're unique, by the way, because most school districts do not have in-house grant writing folks who are expert at that.
And just to clarify,
No, you do. You have.
New Hanover County has a grant writing, I don't think, but not New Hanover County Schools.
Yeah.
We're correct?
New Hampshire County Schools.
Oh, we do
Oh,
not.
we-
That's what I was informed that you guys do.
We do not.
Well, we might have someone
Our
that's written
Title
grants.
I, our manager of Title I.
We need a grant writer.
We've had some,
Funding, that she is the only one that right now does official grants. Everybody else can write grants on their own. We do not have that.
I thought I might
Not-
have.
Okay.
not yet.
Maybe that's what you guys want.
It'd be nice if we had a grant.
Regardless, it's a good idea.
But that's a great point, yeah.
There's ways to make. That's what we need. That support. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations on all
Thank
this
you.
advocacy and hard work, and many thanks and gratitude to the board for passing this policy. This is amazing. The policy lasts until a board decides to eradicate the policy or adjust the policy. In some districts, what would happen after a policy is passed is the superintendent would charge a group of administrators with developing procedures. Procedures come from the administration to secure the policy's objectives.
Right.
What you're talking about right now is how will the procedures unfold? They also can be codified in writing and saved and shared and disseminated. And so I liked where Mr. McManus was going. Do we know if the superintendent has charged a group of administrators with writing the procedures that will make sure that the objectives of this policy are achieved? Is there a timeline for that?
Yes.
And these are the questions that I would start asking.
Right.
So what that sounds like, maybe like a task force. And one of the task force that, of course, I'm already your first member of. And maybe by the end of today, we could have a list of other names of people in the room who would like to join you on this task force, if that sounds like a plan.
And even if this isn't too far reaching, even if we can kind of get together a date soon where we have all those big names in the room, You know, we need all those groups, the special needs group, we need representation from principals. We want your guys' top-down support to reach out to all those schools. And maybe similar in a roundtable fashion like we did, if we can have all of those people that we need to create that procedure in one room that day, then maybe we can hash out the details and get it moving a little faster. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else in student voice? I haven't heard from us.
Miles is the new member. He just wants to say hi.
Hi, I'm Miles Pollock. I'm a new member of Student Voices, and I don't think I have any questions to ask, but I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm so inspired by all the like-minded individuals in this room focusing on just making sure everyone has equal opportunity and inclusion in the school system. I know as a student, I've seen issues with that, and I'm happy to say that, you know, this is a step in the right direction. I really think students having a voice on this committee is really important, and I think working together we can just make a huge impact in our school system.
And his grandmother was a counselor at Hoggard, and he's a spit image of her.
Really,
Lynn Pollock, if you didn't know her.
I have a question in the back.
I was just going to say that I'm so impressed by your leadership, your voice, your drive. I applaud you for it. I would encourage you also to make sure that your school counselors know about your work in this, because they can help you in the work of advocacy, but also when it's time for them to write your letters of recommendation.
Oh, yes, that's important.
College is about this great work with you.
Yes, absolutely.
We really appreciate that. Thank you. I think here at Student Voice, we're genuinely excited for the future. We're ready to see what is going to come of this. We're ready to really actually implement something. I've joined groups before where we like to use words, inclusion, diversity, and things don't come of that. And here at Student Voice, we're really making something that people are going to be able to see happen. Thank you.
I'm going to make another suggestion to you.
Yes.
And I'll probably get in trouble for it. When you talk to the superintendent, ask me if there's an opportunity for you to present a short time frame, but present at a principal's meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And that way they'll all hear the same thing and I'll be collectively there.
Right. Yeah, great suggestion. I think we have one more.
I just wanted to suggest to you too that, to Kristen's point, is that you might make more progress if your group in your next gathering think about what you want the procedures to be, because up until now, I mean, you guys have already developed some procedures, because I remember how we cut out some of the things out of the policy because they were really procedures. So you already have thought about how you want this to work. So my suggestion would be to put together your thoughts, because it's much easier just when you get everybody together to have something to talk about rather than say, okay, let's just get started. Because it's really, I mean, we've all been on committees, you know, in jobs or in schools and in classrooms. So if you can put your thoughts down, that's at least a starting point. Since this is a group for you, by you, you start there, and then you can have people help you finesse it into being, you know, workable and doable. And then your big guys, you know, your big wigs would be able to say, oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about. This person would be good, or this person would be good. So it doesn't have to be them making all the choices. So that might be something to think about.
Of course, thank you.
Sorry, unless you have something good to say, I'll just have a question.
Yeah, of course you can ask your question.
So I know we talked about procedurally having you guys on the agenda on a regular basis. I know we haven't done that yet, but I guess you have a timeline for when you want to begin that, or?
I definitely think as soon as we start discussing what procedures we want to implement, because right now we haven't had the time, we've just got off a break. So as soon as possible.
You know, the new chair of the board is Pete Wildeboer. Reach out to him, and I think, you know, when it comes time, you know, just having a dialogue with him.
I was going to say to Ms. Crible's point, I think one of the issues we're facing is we're ready to start, we have our meetings, you know, all together, but then we keep running into these questions, like what a whole cumulative list of the committees, what time do you guys meet, what's the application process? Then we get caught up in like, who do we reach out to? And then we come back here and ask you guys, and then it goes in this cycle. So I think one of the things before we can even start thinking details-wise would be for us to just be in a room with those people to ask our questions quickly and make that plan. Because through email and stuff, it just takes time, and it keeps getting, further and further along. So we're in that catch-22 situation where we want to start, but we need to answer some questions that only you guys have, and we can't get in contact and that type of stuff.
Over the break, there have been a lot of students who reached out to these students and some other ones individually wanting to join. And a lot of them have a specific area that they're interested in, meaning a specific committee. What we don't have is a list of all of those committees so that when we do get more students to apply, we'd be able to give them the opportunity to say, well, I'd like to go in this area, this area, this area, and have a seat at this table, this table, this table, and use my voice that way. So that's one of the things that we were talking about in terms of effectively collaborating in one space instead of having to email, call, meet, schedule, arrange, plan, meet, talk again.
So in that regard, I just want to add to that point, we are getting ready to do committee assignments probably.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be tomorrow night's board meeting, but we're getting ready to do that. And as soon as we do, I guess the website will be updated.
Yes.
And that will be a helpful tool because we do have a website that talks about what committees we have. And that's a place to go to start.
Like an application process for that?
We're working on that too.
Okay.
We're definitely getting in uniform. Oh, Ms. Crable might know.
Ask the school board to lead that effort on putting us all together to talk about what a common application process is.
Yeah.
So Ms. Walker was right, we are going to announce those committees tomorrow. That's on our agenda to talk about. I think he's already made the choices, he just hasn't told us all exactly.
Yeah.
But for right now, and I'm happy to send it to Malcolm and he can send it to all you guys, there is a spreadsheet that talks about who's on the committees right now and a brief description of what they do. But we are going to be working on a joint application, and then each committee will be working on their own goals and things. So we're going to be a little bit the same, but different, diversity.
Right.
Each committee may have different things, but that is coming tomorrow. So tune in, look at the agenda, you'll see, you don't have to watch it tomorrow night, you'll be able to see it, at your own pace, after the meeting tomorrow.
So what I'm hearing is we're waiting for you guys to get settled this new year, and on our end, I think our plan is to effectively collect data in a sense, not just through the surveys, but Cassie and I have already scheduled a meeting with our vice principal, Mr. Garcia, and such. So essentially, on our end, we should work on collecting what students want to join the engagement team, what committees, do they want to be a part of the superintendent, collect that data on our end, and wait for you guys to get the details finalized, because you guys are still in the mix of a new year, and then we go from there.
And one step before that, I encourage any student you're asking that are looking to join any committee, they have to join Student Voices first.
Right.
So making sure we're keeping track. Do you guys have applications?
Yes.
That's what we need to work on
So
in
that can
the
be our first
implementation is, for the original core group, Isaiah, Sarah Francis, and Tanea worked really hard to create this application process that would get a diverse group from all schools. But we need to work on that and refine it and figure out how do we hear from all of these different types of students, not just us. So that's something we need to work on in the implementation, and we'll definitely need some guidance in that as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a really great point. And as you collect data, again, congratulations. That's a lot of work on top of your primary work as students. And so I'd love for people just to have a meta set of questions like, can this really be done by a volunteer group? You've done amazing work as volunteers. But as Mr. McManus noted, budget season is coming up in the spring. Do we need staff positions that are dedicated to kind of facilitate the administrative work so that's not where your energies are tied up?
And that's a great point.
Yes.
The students and myself and Dr. Casey have really talked about the differences between an ally and an accomplice. And I know we all use the term ally several times, but we like to lean more towards the word accomplice because that's the person who's going to be right there beside us in the place of our shadow, also getting dirty and doing the good work with us instead of just standing by wishing us well. So we would like those type of adult accomplices. That makes fitting sense.
So I'm sorry, I know you guys have been up here a minute. You have one more slide to go through your policy. Did you want to save that or did you want to keep?
Save that.
You want to save that?
Yep. You guys heard enough from us.
Okay. So any final thoughts before we let our students take a break and sit down?
I'm going to ask for another question. So do I understand correctly that you're having difficulty with access to the application or the application itself and access?
One of
to
the
one-
things that is blocking us right now is that we don't have a place to send students. When they join Student Voice, where are they going to go after that? Is there a system in place right now for students to join committees?
That's what we, in our policy,
Yes,
Get our
but-
applications ready.
Okay, so we're waiting on that application. That application will include students
And
to
I think the
confirm.
biggest thing for you all,
Okay.
you need a digital home base, so that can come
Yeah.
through under
The website.
the EDI division. And that's when I can connect with communications, and we can, have some student volunteers to come help us navigate, having you guys like a digital home base for all those questions, all those concerns, and a way to kind of center those student needs. So.
And your application process might look a little bit different than Joe Community application process, because you guys have a different layer to add in on, like, can you meet during the school day? How do you do, all that kind of stuff. So you may want to think, your group may want to think about, it might be just a little bit different than the standard application, because you guys have a lot of different parameters that we as community members or we as moms, can do. We have a lot more flexibility in our lives than you guys do. So that it may look differently, and Malcolm will help guide you through all that.
All right, but thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next, but certainly not least, you have the New Hampshire County Schools EDI Board Committee, which is all of us up here. And it was intentional to save us for last because all of their work feeds right into what we do, and it really serves as our charge. We do convene monthly. The board committee is open to all community stakeholders. What we're looking to do is open, depending on right now, coming off the pandemic, there was a fluctuation in participants in EDI board committee. So right now, coming for the new school semester starting January 25th, it may be a great time to talk about opening it up again. But I can talk to you all privately just to see if that's a general consensus. The EDI Board Committee establishes timelines for implementation, monitors progress, and we report everything to the New Hanover County School Board of Education. There should be a board committee representation on every equity work group and or subcommittee. So if that's not the case, that's just something we really have to make sure exists. So by default, Ms. Harper will be joining the EDI board committee. That way you guys can already have your representation, and we can be squared away. Now, really quick, I want to open the floor to just any, as we've been sitting here, to any of our visitors and guests, any questions for the EDI board committee.
I guess I'm just kind of trying to figure this all out. This is my first meeting here. I received an email from you saying, welcome to the NHCS Equity, Diversity, Exclusion Parent Work Group.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Who is in charge of the parent work group? When do we meet?
So this is our first introduction. I didn't want to set a meeting for you guys, which would have been in February, and not invite you out to join me here in January, because it is important before we meet individually that I try to get as many of us in the room as possible, just to understand the flow and ultimately set up some type of organizational chart. So the parent work group, just like any other work group, it serves to address a specific need that you guys as parents have identified. So before we have a charge, it's important to have that first meeting, which will come in February, and we can really just talk and just pull all the data, any complaints, any issues that you are reoccurring at your home base, and see if there's a commonality through any other schools, and that will be our charge. So the parent work group sets the charge based off the experiences in which, how they experience their individual institution. Because again, I am only one person, so I am leaning on you guys as my extension department and division to really give me the insight of what's going on as parents. Because when I walk into a school, I don't experience it the same way that you experience it. I don't. What was that? Exactly, but so I want that, and I want that truth and transparency, and I want to set that standard here, that's what we're going to get here, that honest. And I'm going to be very, very candid with you all. When we had that parent work group and we asked, why do you want to be here? The interest was varied. Not everyone shared the same ideology. Not everyone shared the same belief. And that didn't stop me from choosing individuals. I don't want people to have the same mindset. I don't want everyone to have the same belief. You know, it's very important for me to have those differing opinions. So in the parent work groups, it's going to be a lot of conversation, and it's going to be important for us to remember who we're here for and why we're here, just like any other work group. So hopefully that answers your question.
So we'll meet as a parent work group and then report
In
out
February.
this to
Yep.
people at the table. Got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a point of clarification? On your last one where it said there should be a board committee representation on every EDI work group, are we talking EDI board committee or are we talking big board?
No, just within the context of EDI.
So you guys up there, every one of you should be you're suggesting one of you should be at every school's equity work group.
No, so the monthly meeting. So there should be, one of us should be represented at the parent work group meeting. One of us should be represented at Student Voices. One of us should be represented at the equity work group. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and based on the recommendations received from the work groups and Student Voices, the committee has the option to then convene a task force and take the necessary administrative approaches to address the issue. And I think right now you all saw that in real time as Student Voices was speaking on implementation, right now needing a task force for helping them guide procedures. To their credit, I think they already have some good procedures in place. I think you just have to go back and pull them out again. But we are looking for individuals to really support that and to support them in that mission. And I don't see Abby or Brian.
Abby was running, we were coming from teacher advisory, so she may not make it in time for traffic, and Brian is sick.
Brian is sick.
And Brian is sick.
So, okay, okay. All right.
His words were under the weather.
Abby was dropping.
Awesome.
Is that for Shayla?
Awesome.
I don't know.
Okay.
But she says if you have questions before she gets here, I can relay and answer.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. And then, sorry for those for being late. I'm Caressa Clegg, member of the Equity Board Committee and the Equity Work Group. I was watching a little bit as I was coming over, and I noticed 2 questions from the students and from Mr. McManus that I could respond to. One regarding the Superintendent Advisory, Student Advisory Committee. That committee is meeting this month, January 18th, from 11 to 1. So I know Cassidy, you'll be on that email. We're we're not having as much, I don't want to say participation, but response from emails to some of those students. So if you guys could help me reach out to those students as well and say, hey guys, we have Superintendent Advisory coming up. Let's make sure we're all in attendance. So again, that's a different group. I know Cassidy, you do service on both groups, but the other students are a total different group of students who offer a different perspective and a different lived experience. So I want to make sure they're all there at that January meeting. And then Malcolm, to your point, for the digital kind of meeting ground for the student work group, we can definitely work on that tomorrow with getting you guys a website up and running and established and getting you guys that application back online and on service. So I just wanted to comment on those 2 points.
Okay. All right, so what we did, instead of going over student equity and engagement teams, can we just go back to the NHC sector slide? We've heard from Ms. Denise already, but I do want to give her the floor right now just to talk about some of the work that she's done so far.
First of all, I want to say thank you for being invited and having a seat at the table. That's one of the most important things, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I can't talk about the work I have done. I can talk about what we have done, and it's a long list of things. We are the only special education PTA in North Carolina at the present time. We had started in February of 2022, so we're almost ready to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. We have established a parent support group, a student advisory committee. We have activities for our membership. We have gone into the community and done workshops and seminars, both in person and online. We are working with New Hanover County Schools in various capacities to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion through our transportation department, through our assistant superintendent, Ms. Barnum, and through Jared Worthington, who is one of our executive directors. So we meet regularly, 3 different groups meeting regularly. In addition to the community work, we provide advocacy support for IEP and 504 meetings. We're basically here in any capacity that we could possibly be to support our families, our kiddos, and our community. We understand that disability is a natural part of the human experience. There's nothing abnormal about disability. We are born different, and that's part of being human. We're all different. We also understand that not everyone's born with a disability. Sometimes it happens throughout life. I am the daughter of a disabled veteran, the niece of 2 disabled veterans. I am the very proud foster mother of a disabled youngster who is now an adult and in the community and married. I wear many hats. I have a disability myself. So we understand that, and I believe that Mr. Johnson said this earlier, it's equal opportunity disability.
That's what I figured.
Very good, excellent, that was great. Thanks, Siri.
It's a brand new phone, and it's a lot smarter than the other phone I'm telling you.
These are the moments we live for, the opportunity to laugh, right? Because we are talking serious business. If it wasn't for equity, I would not be standing here today. And our kids would still be either at home, locked in a closet, or locked in a basement in a school, in an institution somewhere. I'm doing this a long time. I started in 1973, before IDEA and the Rehabilitation Act was passed. This is my life. Here today is my life's journey coming to this place. So when you talk about all in, I couldn't possibly be any more all in, up to my, not drowning though. I have my beautiful friend and colleague and original founder, one of the original founders in New Hanover County, Septic. Carrie, please stand up. Carrie Miller. Sean is also a member of New Hanover County Septic. I'd like you all to join. I have handouts for how you can contact us, because it does really, it's not trite to say, it really does take a village. So Sean said it well when she said that we know that the outcomes for all children improve when we assist our kids who need just that little bit extra, that little bit more. And everybody rises. Everybody gains. Everybody has the opportunity to reach their potential. So we're not here just for kids with disabilities. We're here for every single child in New Hanover County. And I could go on and on. So I'm going to stop myself, because otherwise somebody's going to be stopping me. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we're looking forward to all the good things that we can accomplish together. Thank you.
You don't even get comfortable. So up next, we have our student equity engagement team, one of our leaders, Ms. Abby Nobles, who's just going to speak briefly about some of the work that her and Brian have done so far.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'm going to catch my breath for a second. I'm running from meeting to meeting today. So yes, as Mr. Johnson said, I co-lead the student equity and engagement teams across the district in every middle and high school. So I will read a little bit of what my counterpart Brian Jones and I have put together to present to you today, just to catch you up on the work that we've been doing. So since the inception in 2019, student equity and engagement teams are at each middle and high school in New Hanover County. They meet on a regular basis throughout the school year to improve student morale, sense of belonging, and school pride. So the New Hanover County Schools, sorry, I've explained this so many times. I'm like, I shouldn't be reading this. I should just be saying this to you. The New Hanover County Schools Equity Work Group, which I'm a part of, and my counterpart Brian Jones is a part of, as are so many of your faces in here. We saw a need to increase student sense of belonging and pride in New Hanover County schools.
while adhering to the mission statement, ensuring that students feel that they are in a safe and positive learning environment, prepared with real-world skills of personal responsibility, empathy, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and advocacy. So to do so, we survey and encourage students that their perspectives matter, that they have a voice, we validate their perspectives, and foster solution-oriented advocacy skills. The three key aspects of our student engagement teams are leadership, voice, and opportunity. So these students, they meet on a monthly basis in their schools, kind of designed like clubs, but they are teams. They meet on a monthly basis and kind of assess where they're feeling their schools are on certain aspects and what can they do to promote more positive school cultures. So our vision, New Hanover County Schools Equity Work Group, again, saw a need to hear students' perspectives related to district and school initiatives and policies and encourage their problem-solving solutions. We strive to reach, uplift, and validate students and their perspectives so that we can ensure our schools are making them feel safe and valued, in turn increasing academic achievement, performance, and student engagement. We target students who do not currently serve in leadership capacities. We really want to bring up students and bring up leaders that maybe don't have that traditional opportunity in their schools. So students in these teams are representative of their school demographic populations with a variety of experiences that reach across socioeconomic, ethnic, cultural, and home language backgrounds. We strive to have zero barriers to student participation. So these students meet during the school day, so there is zero barriers to these students participating in these clubs. New Hanover County Schools Work Group saw a need to increase students' sense of belonging and pride in their schools while adhering, I just said that to the mission statement, that they feel like they're in a safe, positive learning environment. So our three pillars, like I said, are leadership, voice, and opportunity. Students work on peer advocacy and leadership development. They have the ability to plan and implement activities within their schools. So we have a lot of students. I know specifically I lead the team at New Hanover High School. Our students have been working on forming more positive staff and student relationships because we all know as educators that the first key to helping your students achieve academic success is making them feel that they belong in their classrooms and that they have good relationships with the adults in their buildings. So my team has focused on different activities within their school where they're promoting that. We did a Decorate the Door contest for the holidays where staff and students had to collaborate. The student equity team ran around the school with rubrics, grading and assessing the doors so that we could have our 3 winners. And so it was a great time of collaboration. We have other teams. I have a list of projects. I will mention just a few others if I can click on this link. Williston Middle School has done bathroom beautification projects. J.C. Rowe, their team, they're focusing on just candid conversations. And students, the leader at that school at J.C. Rowe has said the students feel a great sense of being valued from being on this team. They have also collaborated with the Save Promise team at J.C. Rowe, so they're working hand in hand with that initiative. Something that I just realized today after an email with the Laney director of student equity and engagement teams said that they were focused on their occupational course of study students having transportation to and from their job sites. And so their student equity team really uplifted that work last year, and this year they were able to have that transportation. Let's see, one more. Let's see which one. I'm looking at a list here. Isaac Bear Early College students are piloting a website. I don't know if there are any Isaac Bear Early College students in here. Okay. They're piloting a website for ease of access for students and families to engage with the school. There's multiple links on the website, and they're really focused on that family and student engagement in a really easy-to-use platform. So their students have actually created a website for that. So those are just a few examples of initiatives that student equity and engagement teams have worked on this year and last year. I will just say 2 little quotes from students about being on these teams because the student voices really carry a lot of weight and showcase exactly what these teams have meant to the students. The quote that I used to set up, we have a document of framework which we'll share out with the EDI committee, but the quote that I really used to situate this framework was from a student, and they said, through the student equity engagement teams, I have learned how to be a better student, a better role model, and a better leader. Another student has said, These teams are all about making the school a better place. We're here to make change and make the school a better place for everyone, no matter who they are. This team makes me feel like I had a hand in changing things. It makes me feel important. My favorite part of the team has been meeting new people and creating relationships with different students and teachers. And finally, something that makes me feel valued is that everyone's opinion is wanted on this team. Oh, I lied. Here's one more. This is a good one. Being part of these teams helps us helps to create a better environment for us, other students, and also other teachers. From staff and parents, they have said, there's a difference in how adults in the building may see the school or student culture and how this may differ from the students' perspectives. And we all know that we need to understand their perspectives in order to have school environments that really serve them as for who they are. And a parent stated how important it was to have these conversations to help improve the school for their students. We've seen a dramatic increase in student interest across the board. Students coming out of the Woolworks just wanting to participate. Hey, what are these student equity engagement teams? I really want to be a part of these. We've seen that just grow. Excuse me, my words. I'm not a math person. I'm an English teacher. We've just seen these grow over the course of the inception of these teams. So that is it. I will send you the framework so that you really have a clear picture of what that is. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. Been running around all day. So thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you so much, Abby. All right, so since my arrival, what have we accomplished in equity, diversity, and inclusion so far? So a few things I just want to highlight. This is everything that's solidified. I couldn't fit everything. But of course, we have student voice policy submitted and approved. Just a quick round of applause for them again. Something you might not be familiar with is just our North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. In collaboration with Dr. Cook, who's our federal program specialist for the district, we created our equity plan. And in this equity plan, the goal of it is for all Title I schools. The goal is to develop a plan that will identify and address any disparities that result in low-income students and minority students being taught at higher rates than other students by ineffective, inexperienced, or out-of-field teachers. So the goal is to make sure in all of our school systems, our students are being met with, teachers who are supported through their professional development, through any additional resources. So our goal is to really make sure we're supporting each school to support their teachers. One thing I can say, New Hampshire County Schools have some phenomenal teachers. They have some phenomenal principals. And we just have to make sure we're doing everything we can, because at the end of the day, we are all human. And we just want to really make sure we support, especially our new teachers who are coming into the field. Because one thing, as a past educator, teaching is not easy. And teaching through a pandemic is not easy. And I can tell you right now, from a mental health standpoint, it is not. And we want to make sure we're providing, especially our new teachers, with the support that they need to really thrive and push our students to the capacity which we know they can be pushed. We have the North Carolina A&T Blue and Gold Bus Tour Recruitment Initiative, and this is through another collaboration with the School of Counseling. Dr. Veronica Edge has supported me in this initiative. North Carolina A&T has agreed to send 20 of our New Hanover County male students to their College of Education campus for a day of immersed learning, conversation, as a goal to really address the disparity of, the lack of representation of Black and brown educators in our school district. So this is the opportunity to really give male educators in our school district, this is the opportunity to really give those male students insight to what education is. It is not necessarily, coming into education, not necessarily always being a teacher. Great, we love our teachers. It's being a guidance counselor, being a social worker, being a program director, whether it's athletic director, or AIG coordinator. There are so many different pathways in education that our students are just not aware of. And oftentimes, yes, it does start with being in the classroom, because first you need to understand the students, understand curriculum, understand instruction before you take on those pathways. But it's just a phenomenal way to introduce those males into that environment in a way that they can see themselves represented, and recognizing that there's just so many facets of education in New Hanover County Schools that they can tackle and really, leave their mark. Another initiative, New Hanover County Schools has partnered with Novant Hospital to host a Youth Health Equity Summit at Williston on Saturday, February 18th. This summit is to really, again, fill another gap in healthcare of underrepresentation. So it's intentionally centered at Williston because that's the heart of Wilmington, and is to make these programs and make this summit more accessible to a lot of our communities that can just walk and show up in other ways that they might not be able to have that transportation to get if it was at one of our other locations, at one of our other locations. So location was super intentional because I really want to maximize who shows up to the event, because we want to make sure anything that New Hanover County Schools has their hands on, sponsors, all of our students, all of our parents, and all of our stakeholders can get there and retrieve those resources. Another opportunity, I was kind of hesitant to announce this yet because this may be new to a lot of you all, but New Hanover High School Community Re-Engagement Initiative. Recognizing some of the recent things that took place around the neighborhood of New Hanover High School, this is an awesome opportunity to re-engage our small businesses around New Hanover High School. And what that looks like is we have 3 businesses, well, 2 businesses and 1 pending. We'll announce once we have everything signed, sealed, and delivered. They are agreed to support our effort in valuing every academic minute for our students, which means at 8:20, these businesses will not serve our students. And they will encourage them to go back into class. So that's an awesome initiative. I want to give you more detail, but one thing I will say right now, on 13th and One Stop Shop, owner Will Bordeaux, he has agreed to stop the sale of items to our students between the hours of 8:25 and 2 p.m. Right? That really encourages our students that they need to go to the store to get there a little bit early, because after that, it's going to be that positive redirecting back to the school. Another one is in a Rush convenience store, which is on Princess Street, right behind New Hanover High School. They have Miss Pauline Jackson and her daughter run a fantastic business, and they've also agreed to redirect. And we have one more that's pending, so I'm not going to shout them out and put them under pressure right now. You know, you own it. As well, because one thing when our kids are not in school, they're not learning. Though we can't control everything our students do, but we want to just make sure we have that community support again. Once again, I'm born and raised in Wilmington, North Carolina. 13th and Ann's where my great-grandparents have their home. So that is my community. And it's very important to go and talk to those individuals and remind them, because during my time, back in my day, when you would skip school, those individuals would redirect you. They wouldn't even allow you to go where you're not supposed to be at. And I want to bring that back because it's super important. And New Hanover High School is our pilot school, which means something's coming closer to Hoggard. And it's coming to our other schools because we don't want our kids leaving school. And I want to tell you guys to your face, this is not a means to control you. This is because we value your education and we need you guys in school. So that's a phenomenal initiative that we're piloting right now. And hopefully we just with some wide-scale partnerships, it can really grow and to be a district-wide initiative to increase the value of every academic minute for all of our students. All right. The last one, which you all know, is our EDI parent work group. The goal is to really have that support, that wraparound support, because just through my studies, I got my master's at Trinity Washington University in an education for change school framework, where it was we really harped on Action Team for Partnership. Action Team for Partnership is a model that engaged the family, and it engaged the community, and it engaged the New Hanover County School District, all as subject matter experts for that student. That's what your subject matter for that student. So it's really important that we have this wraparound support for our students. So if there's any small business leads or any friends that you have that may be running a business around one of our schools, reach out to me, let me know, because I would love to leverage any contact that you all may have to make sure our students, their safety. If they're not in school, we can't keep them safe. And safety in their education is our priority. So that's just one big initiative that I'm super proud of. And I'm really happy to announce that, and we just definitely will go into further details with the EDI board committee about how we can really continue and push that to support our students. With that, yes, ma'am.
Before you move on, the picture to the right, I'm just going to brag on Malcolm just a little bit. That was taken at College Park, and he was invited to their town hall, and you can see the title, "In Diversity There is Beauty and There is Strength." And I was just over at College Park right before the meeting, because I saw all the teachers coming in, so I could vouch that's where Abby was. But the counselor was just talking about you again, that you made such an impression on those little kids, talking to them, sitting with them, just being there. And I just hope that the work of this group continues to allow those kinds of things to happen. So, you know, we clap for all of us, but I think we need to clap for Malcolm also.
Can I just add to that? Because since Malcolm's been here, he's been to every school. He made an effort to make sure he was there.
Almost every school. I'm coming. Almost every school.
Well,
almost.
We've been visiting, Miss Lauren. All of us have. He'll get to you. But also, Malcolm attended the annual equity conference that we had. I was in attendance as well as Malcolm. He got to represent New Hampshire County Schools with all the local equity leaders, and some from Southeastern. I don't know what the farthest away was, but in Fayetteville there was somebody there. So he had the opportunity to represent the school district there, and I was so super impressed, and I think I might have embarrassed him a little bit there because I was just like, talk about Malcolm, what he does. And it's very important work for our district. I mean, it's, he has a county counterpart, a city counterpart, hospital, university. It's only natural that we have an equity officer here as well because, we're one of the biggest employer, if not one of the biggest employers, second biggest employer, and we have 25,000+ students here that, and we all care about this work. We need to make an effort to keep the work going. So awesome. I just want to brag on you too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, I think that's my last one. Hey, we're good. So, thank you guys for staying here with me. I do want to open the floor for just comments, questions, and just concerns. And actually, I slipped my mind. I do have one more thing. Part of the work we do in equity, diversity, and inclusion, as sometimes people say, you can't take this work personal. You can't. It's just you have to do your job to the best of your ability. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't help but take it personal. This is my school district I came from, and I see firsthand. I'm telling you firsthand what it's like to not be felt, seen, heard, understood, represented in a school district. It impacts you and it follows you. So that's why it's really important for us to be here in this role. Now, this EDI board committee, we, just like any other division in New Hanover County Schools, that's curriculum instruction, that's technology, that's operation, we are all led by our superintendent. Our superintendent receives his guidance from the school board, all right? So I know a lot of us have felt like we've been in a holding pattern with EDI, but with the new installation of the school board, we're looking for a tone to be set for the work. And once the school board sets the tone, then Dr. Faust will give myself our charge, as well as the charge for the other divisions, for what our plan is for the next part of the semester and the upcoming years for the work that we all have planned. So I do want to let you guys know I've heard your questions. I know my response you might not have always liked it because you wanted more, but I want to tell you that we are moving forward with our work. And we're moving forward with, once we get the guidance from our school board. So again, I want to thank the school board members that we have on our board, and I want to thank the one school board member that we have visiting, because it's important to have our school members on board, and that's for anything. Because when we're driving change, it starts at the top and it starts at the bottom. It's truly a three-pronged approach, a top-bottom approach, bottom-up approach. It takes all the approaches to do this kind of work. So again, I thank you guys for really coming out and staying with me as promised. I do have 10 minutes left, so I do have to 6:30. But I know you all have to leave, but I will take any questions or comments that you all have.
It's not a question. Terry reminded me that every school in New Hanover County does have a PTA. It's us. because SEPTA is available to all 45 schools and the charter schools, any parent, anywhere throughout the
No,
county.
that's really good to know.
And we can also help organize PTAs. Haven't been through the process, which was a little bit daunting. I can definitely, and my team, we can help you schools who would like to organize a regular PTA. And of course, any members, it's open to the entire county.
Awesome.
Thank you, Carrie. This way I have a team, I have a great team.
Awesome. Thank you.
So this is just a personal question separate from like student voices, but I have a huge passion for special education and helping out in that sector. I did it when I was a lot younger, but I noticed that in high school there are opportunities for students to help out other students that have special needs or that need help in school, and I think that's one of the best ways to get them to feel included and to feel involved is to have other students their age helping them out. And I was wondering if there's any programs that students can help out with. Like water racing.
So your student equity engagement team, you can make that focus. We also in most schools have EC buddies. I'm not exactly sure what high schools those are
They
actually.
changed the names, they call them unified buddies.
I'm so sorry, it's okay. Unified buddies.
Father
And so
does.
I also do know that there will be an event soon, and I'm not sure when. They used to do a Unified Buddies prom, and I believe that that is in the works again this year. And so I know at New Hanover and some of the other high schools, they're going to get their student equity engagement teams to partner alongside of that. So that could just be something to look at your schools, the Unified Buddies and then the student engagement teams to really.
Also, SEPTA offers sponsorships, and we would love you guys to join, and we will be happy to cover your membership as well, because we could also have a tutoring program going on where we can support our kids after school, in school, maybe we can arrange transportation to elementary and middle school. There's so much that's available, but there's a lot more that we hope to do. So y'all have my email, and I have more sheets also I'm going to pass out. Please contact me, and let's see what we can do. I'm excited for what you just said. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, there's a parent here, and then Sean.
Oh, hi. I have a question about parents working groups. Sounds like we're going to be meeting
In February.
But since we have you all here right now, I do have one quick question, and that is, for everything that falls under the EDI umbrella, everything that's there, obviously nothing, I would say nothing's been overlooked, but could you point out maybe of what's under the EDI umbrella, could you maybe identify maybe an area that needs more attention? And since you guys are the experienced ones and we're going in fresh, I'd love to have just a sense of what you think may have been, but again, not overlooked, but certainly needs more attention. Sorry.
I think we have had like several fronts at different points in since the beginning of the creation of the group. But the one that we keeps coming back and forth, and we haven't had like a good structure, like a solid structure that allows us to be efficient, is the communication part, like reaching out to parents in a way that parents understand and parents really connect with the school system. I've seen that like a biggest gap. We are doing everything we can from the way we know it, but we haven't had the other end. How do you get it? How is really efficient for all parents to establish that two-way communication with schools? And I'm not talking only about language, which is a big component. I'm talking about we assume, and this is coming from what we know, the movement with technology and all this, we assume all parents respond to emails and to text messages or to communication on the website. Everything is on the website, but not every parent responds to that. So we truly need to know what is it that we need to do to get to parents truly, and that is going to make you respond and come to the schools. To when we have events, sometimes we make all this beautiful effort, not only my school, which we go above and beyond, but any other school, they create all these beautiful programs and the attendance is so low. What are we missing? Why don't we get parents excited to come to school? And so the communication part and the trust, I know we need to rebuild trust and many other things that have been have been fading now with time, but for bad experiences in previous schools. So parents who have bad experiences don't trust the system, so they send children to school because they have to, but they truly don't trust the system, so they don't come to school to reestablish. So all those things, how would we reconnect and reopen those ways of communication?
That's been a challenge for a while. Parent engagement with schools. I know New Hampshire schools have done events, and they haven't been as well attended as they could be.
Transportation's a big
I thought
problem.
that is a challenge
Yeah.
that the parent work group can help with. Sean, you were.
Oh, I was just going to make a comment, and you and I can circle back, but, there are wonderful opportunities in the community like SEPTA, Special Olympics, Miracle League, where I know it's like sports heavy, but there's lots of stuff that we can connect you with, and so I think matter of connection could help out a lot in that.
I'm just talking more about like representation. Like, as a high school student, I don't hear about these opportunities.
Got it.
Hear about how I can help with that. I think that's a big problem. Communication.
Anybody else have comments?
I have something.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on,
You go ahead.
1 second.
I may be coming from a different perspective, but you're looking for the broad. So I've been here, just as Lena, from the inception of the committee, and it seems like we've been evolving for quite some time. So I think that we have been lacking stability and continuity. I'm so glad that we have Malcolm right now, because it seems like we have kind of put our feet back to the ground and we're moving in the right direction. So those are some of the things that I think are missing. Also, more emphasis on black and brown teachers. I was glad to see the North Carolina A&T Blue and Gold bus tour. We've been talking about that from the inception of this committee, and we haven't made as much gain as we really need to make, so I'm glad to see that initiative on the ground. But I think we could put a little bit more emphasis on that and, really drive that particular concern. The other thing is I want to thank the board members for seeing the importance of EDI and being here, because if you're from here and you've been looking back over the years, our Board of Education has not been diverse for at least 10 years, if not longer. So where do you learn about it? You can learn about what needs to happen, what it should look like, what do I need to do, what drives this work, by sitting here at this table with us to help move the work along in the district. So I just wanted to say thank you for seeing the importance and sending some of your members to sit on this committee.
I would offer too to reach out to your principals at your schools, because not every school has the same needs and the same, issues. So reach out to you have a lot of parents here. Reach out to your own principals, and then you guys would bring that back to this group and talk about it.
All right, we're going to take, hold on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Kirsten.
I was going to mention that I think one of the strengths that Malcolm has brought to the group is those definitions of equity, diversity, and inclusion, because once we have an agreement on what those words are, we can begin to organize action around those agreed upon words, right? And when there's a controversy or a disagreement, we can say, well, let's go back to the words and let's see how we're interpreting the words. What I'd love to see pairing with the words is evidence. So if we say what diversity looks like, what's the evidence that we're hitting that mark? That our actions, what is observable in the district, meets the definitions that we've laid out. And that evidence can come in the form of data, school data, other kinds of data. It can come in the form of children taking pictures of it. It can come in the form of students teaching us what it meant to be included, gathering their words. But the definitions are a real step in the right direction. Thank you for that, Mr. Johnson. And evidence of when the definitions are being met and when they're not being met would be very helpful for designing action. Or how do, and I love that implementation come up. How do we do this? because we've got to do it, don't we?
So to add to Kirsten, we as a school board have made it one of the pillars of our strategic plan. There are measurable goals in there. And luckily with Malcolm here, he's going to help us with that because we do need to have regular updates on the plan we've set out for ourselves, which is a 5-year plan. And as a pillar, that was one of the things that was so key and important to having someone in our administration to be able to help us do that. Because I've been only on here 2 years, but I know that's been the struggle with our committee at times, is figuring out what to do with the data we have and then how to implement it, and having someone there as a point person is very helpful to this group. So I would just add to what you said.
Or in the search bar, strategic plan, and the whole thing pops up. You can see it and read it at every level of detail.
Ms. Denise?
I wanted to make a comment about communication. There's 2 other words that I like to associate with equity, diversity, and inclusion, and they are accessibility and acceptance. I struggle with the New Hanover County Schools website, and now the search bar is gone. So I'm having an even harder time. I don't know why it's here, but it doesn't pop easily. Not on my device, it's not there anymore. So I think that there's some kind of glitch with the technology, no project. But as far as accessibility, we don't only have children with disabilities, we have parents with disabilities too. And it's a very difficult for those parents to navigate this website. We also have households without internet or with only a phone as the device for accessibility. So I would just ask that the website be viewed from the point, and we could have folks who have disabilities come in and make some suggestions about how you can make it more accessible for the entire community. That's one thought that in terms of communication.
Thank you, Ms. Janelle.
Is it a mobile app? It was about communication as well, just to piggyback off of that. Some of the things that our students have been discussing is how we can get our information out to get more students to join and get them more involved. Yes, the website is great. Yes, email blasts are great, but these students work from a different generation, a different mindset, on a different platform. So
You want me to get on TikTok?
When they go to get information, for example, it's in a different place for them, and the way that they view it and the way that they access it is different. And an AIG student is going to be able to find something differently from someone who's autistic, who may need a little bit more support. So if that means putting some of this information that's valid to them on Canvas, on the side of a to-do list, like Miles came up with, or maybe if it's put it in the Google Classroom, or teachers having a little hyperlink on their webpage, whatever they need to do, taking it back to flyers out in the street. Like, there's so many different ways to do it besides technology. I think that's just something that we should all look into and address so that we can be inclusive of our community instead of just trying to say we're going to be inclusive and reach them just one specific way.
And of course, the last voice we want to hear from tonight is a student, so it's perfect.
I was just going to say it real fast on the communication standpoint. I have 5,000 unread emails. I check my emails a tiny bit, but if I get something from New Hanover County Schools and I look at it, I'm just like, it's a weather thing or
So I'm not stop for just because I'm the supervisor of the communications division. How do you want your information? Like, we do Instagram, we do Facebook, we do Twitter. A lot of those New Hanover County emails are coming from me, where I'm trying to and like I talked to, and like I just said, all my emails have gone to students because you also have to understand there are only so many ways we as educators can communicate with you guys. So, is there a middle ground where we can meet, where you can tell me what is the best way to communicate with you?
every student after COVID uses Canvas. I can tell you comfortably that, like,
you said Canvas?
Canvas.
High school student, you may say.
So again,
No, they don't use Google Classroom.
Well, yeah. Google Classroom for middle schoolers, but
and then seesaw in other classes.
So I think we need to have like a little communication side meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
task force, communication task
Let's
force.
do that. Again.
I would
No,
never
see,
do it.
yeah. I think I think that's a separate conversation, a separate meeting. I took about an hour and 31 minutes of your time. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining. I will say after for any individual questions, but you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you again.
So you press on the side right here, and it's gonna stop doing what it is.
Well, I know it's doing it. It's weird that you have to be really careful when you cut something off because it'll. First